Bonanza wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural wildfire. When it hit NBC in 1959, it lit up living rooms across America and quickly became one of the most beloved shows of its era. Set against the rugged backdrop of the Wild West, Bonanza wasn't just about horses and gunfights, it was about family, loyalty, and the kind of storytelling that glued people to their screens. With 14 seasons and 440 episodes, it didn't just ride into history, it galloped in, becoming the second longest-running Western of all time. But behind the scenes, the real story wasn't all cheers and applause. As the years went by, the stars who made Bonanza what it was began to fall, one by one. Some deaths were sudden, others hauntingly tragic. Today, we're digging into what really happened to the cast behind America's favorite 1960s series, a little backstory on Bonanza. Before the 21st century, most TV shows didn't try too hard to be progressive. But Bonanza was different. It was way ahead of its time. This classic Western ran from 1959 to 1973, right through the heart of the Civil Rights Movement and the socially charged 60s. While many shows of that era tiptoed around the big issues, Bonanza didn't. Sure, it had its fair share of cowboy action and frontier drama, but it also dove into deeper topics like morality, family loyalty, and even racism in some episodes. That's what made it stand out. It wasn't just a show you watched for fun, it was one that made you think. And when a show can do both, entertain and challenge you, that's something special. Younger viewers today might not know much about Bonanza, but it's one of the most important and influential series in television history. Set in the 1860s, the story follows the Cartwright family, wealthy ranchers living in Virginia City, Nevada, as they deal with everything life throws at them. And yes, it was in color, which was a big deal back then. The show ran for 14 seasons, making it one of the longest-running series of its time. That gave the creators a lot of space to grow the characters and reflect the changing world around them. It also helped that the cast was stacked with talent. Lorne Greene, Dan Blocker, Pernell Roberts, and a young Michael Landon, who would later become a household name on Little House on the Prairie. Lorne Greene. Before he was America's favorite TV dad, Lorne Greene had already worn many hats: broadcaster, war officer, inventor, and Shakespearean actor. Born Lyon Hyman Greene on February 12, 1915, in Ottawa, Ontario, he was the only child of Jewish immigrants from the Russian Empire, Dora and Daniel Greene, a shoemaker. At home, his mother called him Chaim, but his school report cards listed him as Hyman. It's still unclear when he started going by Lorne, or when he decided to add the E to Greene. Greene's creative journey started in Canada. He was the drama instructor at Camp Arohan, a summer camp in Ontario's Algonquin Park, where he honed his storytelling skills. While studying at Queen's University in Kingston, he joined the campus radio station CFRC through the Drama Guild and quickly developed a love for broadcasting. Although he originally trained as a chemical engineer, Greene gave it up to chase a different calling: radio. He landed a job with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, and when World War II broke out, he served as a flying officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force. After the war, Greene returned to the CBC and became their lead newsreader. His voice, deep, calm, and commanding, earned him the nickname the Voice of Canada. But when he began reading out the names of fallen soldiers during wartime broadcasts, his solemn tone earned him a more haunting nickname, the Voice of Doom. He even invented a countdown stopwatch that ran backwards, helping radio announcers track how much time they had left on air. A small invention with a lasting impact. During his time at CBC, Greene also narrated wartime documentaries like Fighting Norway, 1943, for the National Film Board of Canada. But behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. CBC required their staff to hand over a large portion of any freelance income. Greene wasn't having it. He quit and went independent, continuing to appear on CBC as a freelancer while also working with Toronto's CKI Radio and diving back into acting, on stage and on the air. In 1952, he closed his own acting school, the Academy of Radio Arts, and moved to the United States. Broadway legend Katharine Cornell cast him in two of her plays, The Prescott Proposals and Christopher Fry's The Dark is Light Enough. Green soon found himself in live TV dramas and even Shakespeare adaptations, including a 1953 televised Othello in which he played the lead. In 1954, he made his Hollywood debut in The Silver Chalice as St. Peter. A year later, he starred in the British-Canadian series Sailor of Fortune. He played Beethoven in You Are There, and later took on the role of Marcus Brutus in Julius Caesar at the Stratford Festival. In 1957, he appeared as the prosecutor in Peyton Place. Then came Bonanza, the role that changed everything. Green was cast as Ben Pa Cartwright, the strong-willed, fair-minded father of three sons. The show, which ran from 1959 to 1973, was the first one-hour Western series shot in color and became a massive hit. Green starred in every single episode, and his performance made him a TV icon. He landed the part after his role as O'Brien in CBS's production of 1984 caught the right attention. But despite Bonanza's success, Green had his frustrations. Early on, he considered quitting the show after just 16 episodes because he felt his character lacked depth. He believed roles should have real purpose. In a 1967 interview with reporter Bobby Wygant, when asked if he hoped Bonanza would go on for another 8 years, he didn't sugarcoat his answer. "No, I don't. I must be very frank," he said. "When you have a long run on any kind of show, you get to the point where there are other things you feel you must do before it's too late." After Bonanza ended, Green took those words to heart. He recorded a few country music albums, showing off yet another side of his talent. Then, in 1978, he made a bold move, switching genres from cowboy to sci-fi. He took on the role of Commander Adama in the original Battlestar Galactica, introducing himself to a whole new generation of fans. Lorne Greene passed away on September 11, 1987, at the age of 72 due to complications from pneumonia. But from Shakespeare to sci-fi, war broadcasts to westerns, he left behind a voice and a legacy that never faded. Pernell Roberts. Pernell Roberts played Adam Cartwright, the oldest of the Cartwright sons, from 1959 to 1965. But unlike his character, Roberts wasn't one to take orders quietly. He was the first actor to walk away from Bonanza, and he made sure people knew why. Roberts came from a stage background, and he found the fast-paced, time-consuming routine of TV too exhausting. But more than anything, he hated how his Adam character was written. Adam Cartwright was a man in his 30s, still following orders from his father, something Roberts felt was both unrealistic and creatively limiting. He thought the show lacked depth, and before leaving, he even told Lorne Greene that he wanted to stretch his wings and take on something different. While still on Bonanza, Roberts was allowed to do one film, Night of the Iguana, in 1963. Greene, who played his on-screen father, advised him to stick it out. He warned Roberts that if he stayed until the end, he'd become very rich. But Roberts didn't care. In 1965, after 6 seasons, he walked away. According to Roberts, the show failed to deliver on early promises. He said the producers had assured him each character would be individually developed, but that never happened. Tired and frustrated, he called Bonanza junk television and accused NBC of perpetuating banality and contributing to the dehumanization of the industry. He wasn't just unhappy with the writing, he also hated the fact that the network wouldn't allow him to take on other acting jobs during his time on the show. Roberts had always been vocal about his issues with the TV industry. He once said he'd never be satisfied with his own work, and criticized the medium for turning acting into assembly line work, focusing more on mass production than meaningful storytelling. After Bonanza, Roberts returned to what he loved most: variety. He performed in summer stock, regional theater, and episodic television, which gave him the chance to take on new and challenging roles. He toured with musicals like The King and I, Kiss Me Kate, Camelot, and The Music Man, and performed in dramas like Tiny Alice. He also appeared in TV adaptations such as Carousel and Dear Friends on CBS. In 1967, he starred in the short-lived David Merrick production of Mata Hari, and in 1972, he returned to Broadway. A year later, he took on the role of Rhett Butler in a stage production of Gone with the Wind at the Chandler Pavilion. Roberts finally got the variety and creative control he wanted. From 1979 to 1986, he starred in the medical drama Trapper John M.D., playing the role of John. He also appeared in several films, including The Independent, The Deadly Tower, The Magic of Lassie, and High Noon Part 2. At one point, he even reunited with Lorne Greene for 2 episodes of Vega. When asked if he ever regretted leaving Bonanza, Roberts always said no. Pernell Roberts died on January 24, 2010, from pancreatic cancer. He was married to his 4th wife, Eleanor Criswell, at the time. He had 1 son, Chris Roberts, with his first wife, Vera Mowry. Sadly, Chris passed away in 1989 after a motorcycle accident. As for the rest of the Bonanza family, Dan Blocker, who played the lovable Hoss Cartwright, died on May 13, 1972, from a pulmonary embolism after gallbladder surgery. His death marked a major turning point for the series. His character was written off, leaving only 1 Cartwright son behind: Dan Blocker. Dan Blocker was one of the most beloved faces on television during the 1960s, thanks to his unforgettable role as the gentle giant Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. At the height of the show's popularity, Blocker was not only one of the most successful actors on TV, he was also one of the richest. Fans adored him, co-stars admired him, and kids across the country wanted to be like him. But despite all the attention, Blocker had no interest in being a celebrity. Sure, he loved acting, but he didn't like the spotlight. Fame wasn't what he signed up for. It was just something that came with the job. And as his character Hoss became more and more of a household name, Blocker quietly began to pull back from Hollywood. While most actors eventually learned to live with fame, Blocker made a bold move. He left the country to escape it. In a 1971 interview with the Aniston Star, Blocker revealed that he'd relocated his entire family to Lugano, Switzerland. Whenever he wasn't filming Bonanza, he planned to live there. So why exactly did Blocker choose Switzerland? Blocker revealed that he just happened to be a fan of the Lake Country and Switzerland itself, so it made sense to move his family there. He and his wife had been to Europe once before, and after seeing the article, he told her, "The next time we go, we have to see that Lake Country." In 1970, the Blockers visited Lake Como, Lake Maggiore, and Lugano, and fell in love with it. The culture, the calm, and the scenery instantly made it feel like home. By the end of that trip, they'd found a local American school in Lugano and decided to start fresh. "It's great for the kids," Blocker said. "They go to a fine school, they're learning languages, and all of Europe is just a short train ride away. I was there for the holidays, and I get back whenever I can break away." When word got out that Blocker had moved to Switzerland, rumors swirled that it had something to do with money. But Blocker set the record straight. Bonanza had already made him a millionaire, and moving abroad actually came with more financial headaches, higher taxes, dual citizenship complications, and added expenses. For him, it wasn't about money, it was about peace. Much like James Arness of Gunsmoke, Blocker had no desire to get caught up in the Hollywood crowd. He didn't care for fame, and Switzerland, especially the quiet, Italian-speaking region of Lugano, offered the privacy he wanted. It didn't hurt that Bonanza only aired there in German, a language barely spoken in southern Switzerland. As Blocker himself admitted, that detail played a role in choosing Lugano. It was a far cry from the Ponderosa Ranch, but for Blocker, it was paradise. "I feel a little guilty when I see so many actors out of work," he said. "I've had it too easy." Tragically, Blocker's time in that paradise was short. He died suddenly in 1972 from a pulmonary embolism following gallbladder surgery. He was just 43 years old. His death left a massive hole in Bonanza, both on-screen and off. His character, Hoss Cartwright, was killed off the show, and the series only lasted one more season after his passing. Michael Landon. Fans often assumed that Dan Blocker and Michael Landon didn't have the best relationship behind the scenes, but that couldn't be further from the truth. On Bonanza, they played brothers, Hoss and Little Joe Cartwright, and off-screen, they shared a deep, respectful friendship that lasted throughout their years on the show. When Dan Blocker died suddenly in 1972 at just 43, it was a devastating blow. Not just to his family and fans, but to his Bonanza co-stars. As large as he was in stature, Blocker's presence was even larger in spirit, and no one felt his absence more deeply than Michael Landon. According to a 1972 interview with the Greensboro Record, Blocker's death cast a heavy shadow over the set. It was the first day of filming for the show's 14th and final season, and the mood was tense, filled with unspoken grief. Landon remembered it vividly. "Nobody said anything at first, which was a mistake," he said. "You could feel the uneasiness all day. Finally, at the end of the day, each of us made a speech, and we all broke down. That was good. It acted as a catharsis and allowed us to get on with our work." At the time, Landon had just finished writing and directing a 2-hour Bonanza episode to open the season. The episode, titled Forever, was originally written as a love story for Blocker. After his death, Landon reworked the script for his own character, Little Joe, but left almost everything else the same. "The script is virtually the same as when I first wrote it for Dan," Landon explained. "I added about 3 lines to mention the death of Hoss. That's all that needs to be said. It's not necessary to discuss his death. You wouldn't do that in real life. The important things remain silent." The loss hit Landon hard. He and Blocker had worked side by side for 13 years. They spent more time with each other than with their own families during the long, grueling production days. "Our relationship was very close, although we seldom saw each other off the set," Landon said. "That was only natural. When you're together so much, you run out of jokes at the end of the day." He added with bittersweet humor, "We ran into real trouble about the 7th year. There were no more jokes to tell. Then we realized we had forgotten the ones we told each other 7 years before. So we started all over again." Blocker's death changed the atmosphere of Bonanza entirely. His absence wasn't just written into the script, it was felt by everyone involved. The show continued for one more season, but it was clear that something vital had been lost. For Landon, Bonanza was a defining role. He was in his early 20s when he was cast as Little Joe, and that character remained close to fans' hearts even after the show ended. Though he would later become just as famous as Charles Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie. Many viewers always thought of him first and foremost as Little Joe. Michael Landon died in 1991 from pancreatic cancer at the age of 54. Like Blocker, he left behind a legacy of unforgettable television and deep emotional impact. And for those who watched Bonanza, the bond between Little Joe and Hoss will always be more than just a scripted relationship. It was real. Ray Teal. Ray Teal was never a household name, but his face was instantly familiar to anyone who watched television or went to the movies in the mid-20th century. With a career that stretched nearly 4 decades, Teal made a living playing gruff sheriffs, hard-nosed judges, and scowling side characters. Roles that fit his stern demeanor, but didn't reflect his real personality. He is best remembered for his long-running role as Sheriff Roy Coffey on Bonanza, appearing from 1960 until 1972. While other actors chased fame, Teal seemed content with steady work and strong performances. Ironically, acting wasn't even his first calling. Before stepping in front of the camera, Teal was a saxophonist and band leader. He didn't begin acting until his mid-30s, an unusually late start in Hollywood, but it didn't hold him back. He went on to appear in more than 300 films and TV shows, including acclaimed classics like Inherit the Wind and The Best Years of Our Lives. His filmography was packed with memorable performances. In the 1961 Oscar-winning Judgment at Nuremberg, Teal played a principal judge who challenges Spencer Tracy's stance on the prosecution of Nazi war criminals. And in 1946, he took on the role of Little John in The Bandit of Sherwood Forest, an unexpected casting that showed his versatility beyond the Western genre. Despite a career built on portraying grumpy, intimidating figures, Ray Teal was known off-screen as a genuinely kind man. Colleagues often remarked on the contrast between his gruff characters and his gentle nature. He retired from acting in 1974, leaving behind a vast and respected body of work. Ray Teal passed away in April 1976 at the age of 74. Though he never reached leading man status, his legacy as one of Hollywood's most reliable character actors is secure. And Bonanza fans will always remember Sheriff Roy Coffey as part of the fabric of the Ponderosa. Guy Williams. Guy Williams was born on January 14, 1924, in the Washington Heights area of New York City, to Sicilian parents Attilio and Clara Catalano. His father was an insurance broker, and the family struggled with poverty during his early years. Williams, however, was a standout student, especially in mathematics, at Public School 189. He later attended George Washington High School while also working at a soda fountain to help support his family. His interests included American football and chess, but he was driven by a desire to become an actor, a career path his mother initially discouraged, hoping he would follow in his father's footsteps. Before entering acting, Williams worked a variety of jobs, including as a welder, cost accountant, and aircraft parts inspector during World War II. He eventually found his way to the sales floor at Wanamaker's luggage department, where he took a leap of faith and sent his modeling photos to an agency. His looks and height, 6 feet 3 inches, quickly earned him attention in the fashion world, landing him gigs in major magazines like Harper's Bazaar and even on billboards and book covers. On the advice of his agent, Henry Wilson, he changed his name to Guy Williams in the 1940s, as his original moniker, Guido Armando, sounded too foreign for Hollywood. In 1946, Williams signed a one-year contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and moved to Hollywood. His film debut was in The Beginning or the End, 1947, a docudrama about the atom bomb, but his early career didn't take off as expected. He returned to New York briefly before becoming one of the pioneers in American television commercials by 1950. In 1952, he moved back to Hollywood with a contract at Universal International and also made a guest appearance on The Lone Ranger. In 1957, Williams's career took a notable turn when he appeared twice on Men of Annapolis, a military drama about the U.S. Naval Academy. Around the same time, Disney was casting for a new series about Zorro, and after an interview with Walt Disney himself, Williams was chosen for the role of Don Diego de la Vega. Disney saw his potential, asking him to grow a mustache and training him in fencing under Belgian champion Fred Cavans. The role catapulted Williams to fame, and Zorro became a beloved character on Disney's television network. The series was short-lived, with a legal dispute between Disney and ABC causing a hiatus and eventual cancellation. However, 4 additional episodes were produced and aired in 1960 to 1961, featuring Williams as Zorro. In 1964, Williams joined Bonanza as Will Cartwright, Ben Cartwright's nephew, a role originally intended to replace Adam Cartwright, played by Pernell Roberts. Williams was written out after just 5 episodes when Roberts chose to stay with the show, despite the rumors that Michael Landon felt threatened by Williams' growing popularity. Though his time on Bonanza was brief, it didn't slow Williams down. In 1965, he took on the role of Professor John Roberts on Lost in Space, a show that would become one of his most memorable roles. In 1979, Williams retired to Argentina, where he lived a quieter life until his death in 1989 from a brain aneurysm. Victor Sen-Yung. Victor Sen-Yung got his first big break in Hollywood in 1938 when he stepped into the role of Jimmy Chan, the number 2 son of the famous fictional Chinese detective Charlie Chan, in Charlie Chan in Honolulu. His casting marked a shift in the series. He replaced Key Luke, who had portrayed the original number 1 son, Lee Chan. Luke, notably, was the first Chinese-American actor to be signed to a long-term contract by a major Hollywood studio. But when Warner Oland, the Swedish actor who had portrayed Charlie Chan since 1931, died in 1938, he was replaced by another white actor, Sidney Toler. That transition prompted a reshuffling of the cast, with Yung stepping in as the new son to fit the new dynamic. Yung would go on to appear in dozens of films and TV shows, but his most recognizable role came decades later, the good-natured cook Hop Sing, on the long-running TV Western Bonanza. From 1959 to 1973, Yung appeared in over 100 episodes as the Cartwright family's loyal, apron-clad cook. It was a role that brought him fame, but also frustration. The character of Hop Sing, with his pidgin English, humble servitude, and fortune cookie wisdom, became a shorthand stereotype for Asian characters on American television. Still, he worked steadily. Outside of Bonanza, Yung took on various television roles and even starred as Uncle Charlie in the sitcom Bachelor Father. And when he wasn't playing a cook on screen, he often was one in real life. In 1974, he published the Great Wok Cookbook, proof of his lifelong love of cooking and his effort to represent Chinese culture on his own terms. Yung also experienced real-life drama far beyond any script. In 1972, he survived a terrifying hijacking, during which he was shot in the back. He recovered from the ordeal, but his life ended tragically and quietly 8 years later. In 1980, he died of accidental gas poisoning in his home. His body was not discovered for 10 days. He was 65 years old. Victor Sen-Yung was buried in Green Lawn Memorial Park in Colma, California, most likely under the name he used professionally. His Bonanza co-star, Pernell Roberts, who had always advocated for more meaningful roles for actors, delivered the eulogy and quietly paid for the funeral. Though often confined to roles that reflected Hollywood's limited imagination, Victor Sen-Yung's contributions to film and television spanned decades. He gave heart to the roles he was offered, even when the scripts fell short. David Canary. Silver-haired and striking, David Canary made a memorable mark on both stage and screen. Before he became a familiar face in American households, Canary was a promising athlete, a college football player with a strong build and a disciplined mindset. But it was the stage that first called to him. He made his Broadway debut in 1962 in Jose Quintero's production of Great Day in the Morning, sharing the stage with the formidable Colleen Dewhurst. After serving in the military, Canary returned to acting with renewed purpose, quickly transitioning into film and television. In 1967, he appeared in 2 major films, Hombre, his big-screen debut alongside Paul Newman, and The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, before securing a prominent role on the NBC Western Bonanza. He played Candy, the reliable and rugged ranch hand who became so integral to the Ponderosa that he was often treated like one of the Cartwrights themselves. Though he had originally set his sights on a film career, Canary found real growth in television. "Although I had my heart set on films," he once admitted, "I saw Bonanza as the best thing I could possibly be doing at this point. I am learning so much, and I'm working so hard. And the guest stars who come on the show are so great, and I feel I'm in a film." Canary made the most of every opportunity on set, treating each role as a stepping stone. His dedication paid off, and his talents eventually found their most iconic expression not on the frontier, but in the dramatic world of daytime television. On All My Children, Canary played not one but two characters, the complex twins, Adam and Stuart Chandler. It was a demanding dual role that earned him critical acclaim and a permanent place in soap opera history. Over the course of his career, he appeared in more than 1,200 episodes of the show, captivating audiences with his range and intensity. He remained with All My Children until 2013, just 2 years before his death in 2015. Though his journey began with ambitions of the silver screen, David Canary found lasting fame and respect in the ever-changing world of television, becoming a steady, compelling presence in every role he embraced. Bing Russell. Bing Russell, the father of acclaimed actor Kurt Russell, was born in Brattleboro, Vermont. And from a young age, he was determined to follow in the footsteps of great actors. He nurtured his passion for drama during high school and eventually made a name for himself. His early years were filled with remarkable experiences, one of the most unique being his time spent as an unofficial mascot for the New York Yankees. During this period, he struck up friendships with legendary players like Lefty Gomez and Joe DiMaggio, and even received the last bat that Lou Gehrig used to hit a home run before his tragic battle with ALS. Russell became widely known for his role as the deputy sheriff on Bonanza, where he added depth and authenticity to his character. In 1979, he had the special opportunity to work alongside his son, Kurt Russell, in the television movie Elvis, where Bing played Vernon Presley, Elvis's father. His acting career, while steady, was not without its challenges, but he became a respected figure in the entertainment industry. Sadly, Bing Russell passed away from cancer on April 8, 2003, in Thousand Oaks, California, leaving behind a legacy of memorable roles and a lasting impact on those who knew him. Which of these iconic Bonanza cast members was your favorite? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world of Bonanza. Also, be sure to click the video on your screen to continue exploring.